Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Jane is off tonight. Well, the decision made waves in Idaho last week. The state Supreme Court ruled that police can only arrest someone for a misdemeanor if they have a warrant or they saw a crime being committed. That decision was based on an appeal from a Hayden man who was arrested after allegedly groping a woman at a beach. KREM 2's Taylor Vito dug through court documents to learn more about the original case.
Well, from the get-go, it was a case that seemed pretty standard. According to these court documents, a woman was touched without her consent. The suspect said otherwise, though. Now, a couple of years later, it's a case that has a lot of police departments and prosecutors talking.
I've been doing this work for quite some time, and it just felt like it was taking us back in time when we received the information.
That was one of many victim advocates last week, dismayed and surprised with Idaho's Supreme Court. The court ruled that police in the state cannot arrest someone for a misdemeanor unless they see that crime take place or have a warrant. That has many concerned as to what kind of impact it'll have on victims of domestic violence cases where responding officers didn't see the crime happen. But how did we get here? The court's ruling stems from an appeal from this man, 44-year-old Peter Clark. In 2016, he was arrested on drug and battery charges stemming from an incident at Honeysuckle Beach in Hayden. Now, according to court documents, a mother in her mid-30s approached a sheriff's deputy saying Clark had harassed her on the beach. The victim said that Clark wouldn't leave her and her son alone and was calling the woman attractive. Clark allegedly then touched her rear end 2 times. She told him to stop during that. The victim said Clark then asked her to call his phone because it was missing and he was trying to find it. She did that, then left. She says Clark later sent her an offensive text message, though, which she deleted. The deputy was then able to find Clark at the beach. Court documents said he admitted to grabbing the woman's rear end, but indicated that he thought it was consensual. Clark also said he texted her, but added that the woman had given him her number. The deputy wrote that due to her statement and Clark admitting to touching the woman, he placed Clark under arrest for battery, which is a misdemeanor. He'd then find meth and marijuana in Clark's backpack. Clark would eventually appeal the charges, arguing that the arrest was illegal because the battery wasn't committed in the officer's presence. He argued that violated Idaho's constitution. And the state's high court agreed with him, vacating his case last week. Clark's criminal record includes resisting police and other drug charges. He did not return a phone call and a Facebook message seeking comment today. In Hayden, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
We have an update now on that breaking news we first told you about in our last half hour of news. In downtown Coeur d'Alene, police just reopened the roads surrounding the courthouse. Coeur d'Alene police say someone called in a suspicious device after finding something wrapped in tape with wires poking out of it on the courthouse plaza. Police say the device was deemed safe and was likely designed to look like a bomb. The Spokane Bomb Squad has since cleared the scene. As the number of measles cases grows across the country, Washington Congresswoman Kim Schreier is working on bipartisan legislation to get a vaccine bill passed in Congress. Schreier, a pediatrician by trade, says misinformation played a role in the recent outbreak in Clark County, that's in southwest Washington. She specifically cited an Eastern European strain and a pocket of people in southwest Washington of Russian and Ukrainian descent who declined vaccination.
That community naturally would not trust information from a government because look where they come from, right?
Well, she is backing a bipartisan bill that would free up money for vaccination campaigns and provide stronger tracking of untreated communities. The city of Spokane is again urging drivers to not give handouts to panhandlers, but rather give them a hand up. We have reported on the Give Real Change program before and how it aims to help people experiencing homelessness. KREM 2's Alexa Block has more on why giving to agencies that help homeless is far better than giving change to panhandlers.
We've been driving around town all day and we saw quite a few people out on the street asking for money. I had a chance to speak with some people who work with the homeless community every day, and they tell me that while it may make us feel good to reach into our cup holder for some spare change or pass over $1 or $5, it may not be as helpful as we think. It's fairly common, a person on the side of the road holding a sign asking for help. And yes, it may be tempting to want to help by giving that person money. But what seems like a small handout could mean big issues. One being public safety. Spokane police say panhandling can be dangerous. It can also lead to frustration from drivers and even road rage. But a bigger worry for police and the city is whether panhandling discourages people from seeking services. So the city is urging you to give real change and donate to organizations that help homeless. Those at the Union Gospel Mission agree giving money to people on the street isn't always the best thing.
And I oftentimes would give people money because my heart really hurt when I would see the position that they were in life or what they were experiencing. Oftentimes the best way to really be supportive and helpful to somebody is to build a relationship with them, and is to do something to encourage them to embrace and experience their humanity.
And this could be as simple as giving them a snack or asking if they need to find a shelter. Union Gospel Mission gives out granola bars with a list of places to get services. There's a concern panhandlers will use your generous donations for drugs or alcohol, making it difficult to break the cycle of poverty and addiction.
And so if I have a resource, I feel responsible, and I think we feel responsible to steward that resource and say, what's the likelihood that this resource is going to be used for something that I personally can support?
And the city says it's working. The Give Real Change program has raised more than $20,000. Money that will go towards local nonprofits that help people struggling with homelessness. In Spokane, Alexa Block, KREM 2 News.
And you can make a donation to Give Real Change when paying your utility bill or by calling 311. For more information on the campaign, just head to KREM.com. To weather now, it's hot and dry across the inland northwest, and winds are expected to pick up, and that is why parts of our region are now in a fire weather watch tonight. Our Michelle Boss standing by with more on that. Michelle.
Yeah, we've had some pretty dry conditions across the region, having not seen any measurable rain at the Spokane airport since back on June 8th, and not looking at really our next chance of significant rain until this Thursday. So dry conditions causing some potential problems, especially with some increased winds over the next couple of days. Currently, we have 83 degrees in Spokane, 82 in Coeur d'Alene, still in the 90s. In Omak, Moses Lake, and pretty close to the 90s in Othello and Lewiston. Pomeroy checking in at 89 degrees, and most of the area has been dry today, with the exception of the Northeast Mountains in Washington and the Idaho Panhandle. A few showers and thunderstorms. Some of them have a little bit of hail in them and some gusty winds up around Medellin, just to the north of Newport. And it looks like one of the more stronger storms kind of moving into the Sandpoint area right now could bring some brief heavy rain there. In the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area, we haven't seen any wet weather today, but a stray shower is not out of the question over the next couple of hours. After this evening, things are going to be drying out, looking for partly cloudy skies and quiet weather as temperatures fall down into the lower 60s. We're looking at mostly sunny skies tomorrow, expecting those winds to pick up Tuesday night into Wednesday. And it's that gusty winds on Wednesday and dry conditions that leading to fire weather concerns for that day here in the Spokane area. Much cooler weather is on the way, though, for Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. Meantime, in Grant County, the Sheriff's Office is now putting out alerts in both English and Spanish. The Spanish version is something they added this year with the help of a volunteer. You may have seen them on their Facebook page or in your inbox during the 243 command fire near Royal City. Photojournalist Brett Alberry introduces us to the volunteer behind the alerts and why the Sheriff's Office says she is so important.
For the past several years, the Sheriff's Office knew that we weren't reaching the limited English proficiency audiences, especially the Spanish community, Spanish-speaking community in Grant County, and we'd been trying to find the right person for it.
Called me up and said, hey, how would you like to join us and be one of the PIOs for the Sheriff Department and be translating? It was a good opportunity for me to be involved in this, especially since I am going to school and majoring in law and justice.
We were missing a huge portion of our population, and we needed to have that help.
So what I do now is just translate everything from English to Spanish.
We did have the 243 fire, and that was the first big wildfire in Grant County, the first big wildfire in the state, so we knew it was going to get a lot of press coverage.
There's a lot of Hispanic people in that area, so having that information for them to be able to read it, I think it was very important.
Liz stepped up and shined. It was fantastic.
Somebody could be reading it and say, hey, that's pretty close to my house, or that's happening pretty close to my house, we need to go, or we need to leave, or this is happening here and we need to be cautious about it.
Liz is able to take what we write down and put all the correct dialect in it, put all the right slang in it.
If it helps someone, then that's important. And that's fulfilling for me.